too small, I got big dreams.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Pun Fun, where we have fun with the puns. My name is Ryan and we're going to check out episode 3 of the Marvel series Hawkeye. If you have not yet seen episode 3 of the Marvel series Hawkeye, please be sure to do so, as there are major spoiler alerts ahead. And we're not saying hot guy. I mean, there could be many hot guys in the show if you want. I mean, there's one maybe right in front of you. But what we are talking about is the dude Hawkeye. That all being said, we're also going to talk about a very cool artist that we had on our show. We were so fortunate to have her on. I mean, it was just mind-blowing. There's an Easter egg somewhere around here if you see it. If not, we'll give more details as we go along. We'll also talk about maybe a few contests that we have already going on and maybe going in to the future. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot more shows coming into play. I mean, there's a lot more things coming into play, elsewhere. But maybe if we see you at those shows, I mean, hey, give us definitely a shout out. We'll definitely, give you guys a shout out too. Now, all that being said, let's get down to what we came here to do and break down this episode. So first of all, we have, obviously Echo. We have Echo being fleshed out, a great backstory. It gives the viewer a better sense of who they are, what they, had to go through, the struggles, or kind of what was their upbringing. So Kate, being this person of, wealth, was also, was able to accomplish and acquire quite a bit through her, maybe getting medals and I don't know what kind of standings and whatever. However, Echo was not given that, same privilege in this case. So the education system failed her in the sense that they weren't able to provide a class, an education system that was specific to her needs. So she kind of just was thrown into the regular, educational system and had to fend and, push as much as she could, and even more so because of her abilities. Which kudos to her, because, I mean, she not only made it through, she's a crazy badass. Now, that all being said, this person was told, okay, if, you can't figure it out, just mimic or at least copy what you see at any time, and this will help you through. That's what his dad was saying. So her dad, was saying. So now that's exactly what we see her do at a martial arts class. So I mean, it's the 90s. I mean, probably you as well probably took in a taekwondo or some kind of hip hop dance type, or if not karate class. And this is exactly, it fits perfectly in that bill. So she's into it. She's trying to get a good feel of what's going on. She sees a kid take down another kid. Right away, she was able to excel, take the ability, and basically not only copy, but on the first try, take down this kid and master it. Which, again, is going to be part of her abilities as we go forward. So her seeing these stuff, like with Hawkeye and even with Kate and things, who knows if she'll also be able to maybe mimic and kind of, also simulate some of the stuff that we see. Now, that all being said, her dad actually talks about, dragons and mythical beings. We do see a lot of unicorns throughout this episode, especially with Hawkeye actually riding one. I mean, it's very cool that we get shout outs to these mythical creatures, of course, but, him talking about the dragons and actually being maybe of a separate world is, of course, a shout out to Shang-Chi, with the dragon actually being dormant in the lake or river in the town of Ta Lo. For Echo going forward, her dad does, die, and his blood, on his hand went on her skin, and it made this, handprint. And this is actually one of her trademarks as a character in the comic books. She actually does take paint and actually does the hand mark. It's to remember this actual moment and why she's doing this, because she herself will become a vigilante, and this is what gets her, gets her going, gets her motivated, and keeps her on the right track. So, again, she's after Ronin. She doesn't necessarily know what is right or what is wrong. She doesn't know if Ronin is on the good side or on the bad side. I mean, this guy was just straight up killing people. So, for all we know, we do see her as a villain in this episode. But, however, for all we know, she might think she's actually doing right. Anyways, this all being said, I mean, she was taken under the wings of Kingpin. Now, I say this because her dad mentioned of an uncle, and her dad actually dies as well. The character that we see killing her dad is Ronin, and we'll get into that in a couple seconds, especially because our last episode, we broke down all of the different villains that appear or may appear in the series itself. It may not necessarily be a very obvious like reference. So right now we're getting a lot of groups, like for example Sloan Limited. It's actually a character that was in the Spider-Man comic books, so for him to have like his own company makes sense, I guess, or to wait till like Laundry Money or whatever it is. So these are all just different sub or small time criminals, if you will, that have a higher boss, a bigger anarchy. And we're not talking about Santa Claus, but we are talking about another fat man. So we'll get into that in a couple seconds because there's a lot more depth into it. We'll get back to Echo. This all being said, the action scene was amazing. This episode alone was just jam-packed with a lot of action. A lot of people said the first 2 episodes was kind of a lot of blah blah. Again, people, this is the Disney Plus series, via Marvel. It's always the 3rd and 4th episode that things are going to get kicked into the high gear. The first 2 episodes are usually more lighthearted, a lot more, backstory, a lot more introductions. So come on, chill a little bit and, give it some time to grow and let it, ripen. I've enjoyed the 1st and 2nd episode. The 3rd one was just a thriller throughout, especially the car scene. So the red Challenger that we see in the show and they ended up not taking is actually the Charger, the red car, I think it was a Charger anyways, that Hawkeye actually takes in the comic books and has this exact scene happen. But however, Hawkeye is the person that's actually throwing the arrows, and Kate is the one who's driving. In this situation, to take another vehicle, the roles are switched. So I mean, in this case, this is a alternate universe, of course. So right away, if you guys are looking for like direct references, there's gonna be a lot of variants because these on their own, so this is universe 1999 being the MCU and being a different, alternate universe. This is a clear indication of that because it's a situation that had to happen. However, there are elements to that, that definitely was changed. So that being said, that scene is actually a almost like panel to screen comparison, like 1-for-1. It was amazing. It was great shot. I don't know if it was actually a one take because they do shoot a lot of the side panels, so I don't know if that's when they do the editing. Anyways, if it is, kudos to you guys. If it isn't, I mean, it was still great anyways. And yeah, I mean, they went ahead with like plungers and all kinds of things, but the one that got me the most was the slime. So shout out to you, you know who you are, the people that played slime and not goop, as I forgot what it's called, but yeah, I mean that was definitely cool. I mean, why not? And it expanded and actually was able to blind him for quite some time. It was actually purple too, to match the whole color theme with the whole Hawkeye series. Seeing that was just a fresh breath of fresh air. We kind of got away from a bit more of the Christmas stuff, although we do still hear the Christmas theme here and there and everywhere, which by all means is still still great. I mean, we're definitely into the whole holiday spirit. Now, that all being said, we finally have a moment where we get more human with Hawkeye. He's talking to his son. He can't actually hear what's going on. Where Kate is actually describing what's going on. There's a lot of pain in his eyes, her eyes as well. And yeah, you get to see this more humane side of these superheroes. They're not built like the Steve Rogers of the world. So to finish things off, we're going to talk about one last thing, which is actually 2 last things. One of which is the costume that we have Kate actually mock up on, I guess, a piece of napkin or a piece of paper. This is actually a direct reference to the classic Hawkeye suit, obviously with the H and the whole, headgear and everything. I mean, Marvel did a good job in, modernizing these suits for, today. However, it would be cool to see him, maybe in a mock-up or something. Well, I guess this would be the closest we'll ever see, something of that caliber being shown in the MCU. Or maybe we'll see a variant have it. Anyways, it was definitely cool. And it was funny that he didn't want any part of it. Kind of like in the X-Men where they kind of rejected the whole, spandex and blue and yellow suits. And instead, like she was talking about, having this whole black outfit and, very mysterious, if you will. And in the end, people were actually looking forward to the more vibrant and colorful, costumes. One last thing is the mother. So the mother we didn't mention in the last episode only because we're not too sure the direction that they're going with the mother. She is definitely going to be somebody to keep an eye on. I'm not going to bring more information on it because I don't want to spoil it for you guys to that degree. There is a reason why Jack was at the end of that episode because he's seeking somebody, probably to avenge the death of his uncle. So keep that in mind. And in the next episode, we're going to go more into details because I'm pretty sure we're going to get more of a reveal of who exactly she is. Is she a villain? Or is she a friend to Kate and all of this going around? Is she maybe even at the same caliber as the Kingpin or one of his rivals? This will all be clarified probably in the fourth episode going forward. Now there's one last thing that we kind of did mention, which was the clown. Again, we're not going to flesh him out. There's a lot more time to build on him as we go forward. There is actually one thing that you need to take back is that Kate and as they call him, Kazi, actually were in a relationship before. So that is very funny that they actually have this encounter earlier on, and then now that she's looking it up, would it lead to anything later on? I don't think they're ever going to play with it. Maybe there might be some mediocre flirtish, but anyways, we'll see. Now, this all being said, we're going to come back to the Kingpin. So the Kingpin, we haven't had any confirmation that he will appear in the show. It may just be like Mephisto, where everyone's kind of pushing on the fact or hoping that he will appear. However, everything points and all the signs are in that direction. Will this happen, or maybe it will be saved or kept for the Echo series, or maybe it might be the last thing we see in the show. Anyways, what is clear is that we will see Willen Fisk within this series. All of his gangs and gangbusters that are under him are being shown very clearly in this whole entire episodes rather. Now, before you go, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please be sure to hit that like button. If you learned anything, definitely hit that subscribe button as well. This way you stay on top of anything that we put out comic book related. Like, for example, our next episode, we have the very talented Nightmare on our show. So it's going to be our Nightmare Before Christmas. There you go. Again, having fun with puns. So you definitely don't want to miss that. There's actually going to be a contest on that episode, so you don't want to miss that. There's an ongoing contest on the Dan Mendoza episode. If you go ahead and comment and you're subscribed, you're entered to win one of his comic books, that which is also signed by the man himself. So you definitely want to do that as well. And yeah, thank you again. We've hit that 50 threshold in terms of number of subscribers. I didn't think we'd get this far so soon, and I'm just glad that the channel is able to grow and you guys are able to appreciate everything that we've been putting out for you guys. And we have so much coming up. Like, for example, there is the Montreal convention that's coming up, the mini convention, if you will. If you guys are there, definitely come check us out. We'll be hanging around maybe at the Van Lim booth, here and there. If you're not sure who Van Lim is, you can definitely check it out. On our previous episode, we did an interview with her. Her art is just amazing, and to see her whole booth up and running, you definitely want to check her out, and maybe purchase one of her art, because we're all about supporting our artists. We may also have a little bit of, not merch, but things to give out to you as well, especially if you're a subscriber. Let us know. Anyways, guys, you guys take it easy. Peace.